Theology.
Welcome to the Talking Theology segment, where we talk about theological topics. And we have been looking at the Ten Commandments, and this week we are in the sixth commandment of the 10. And so Exodus 20:13 reads, "You must not murder." The sixth commandment is essentially the only one that basically people still accept. Nobody supports murder. Every society forbids it in some way because it is at odds with the very laws of nature. Homicide is still a crime, even in America. One of the shortest of the commandments is this sixth commandment. In Hebrew, in the original language, this commandment only had the words, "Don't murder." But what kind of murder is the Bible talking about? There are at least 8 different terms or Hebrew words for killing that can be found in Hebrew. And the word used here was carefully chosen. Other Hebrew words for killing means execution, death sentence, killing in war. This Hebrew word, lo rashas, does not mean killing per se, but the word condemns the unlawful killing of a human being. Now, God's people have consistently recognized that there are some situations in which taking a life is not only permissible, but is also justified. Self-defense or protecting oneself and one's family from a violent attack is such a situation. To broaden the principle, we may kill in defense of our country. Another situation in which killing is legal is the execution of a death sentence. It is always wrong for us to take the law into our own hands. However, if justice is to be served, the plaintiff may not function as the jury, judge, or the executioner. The Bible distinguishes between what we would say private individuals and the state, or what we would call the government. Therefore, capital punishment is a legal form of killing when administered justly by the governing authorities. Now, why does God permit some types of murder, and what would give them legal status? Well, the answer is that the murder that God is justifying in Scripture is to save lives rather than destroy lives. This preserving life is definitely true, such as in the case of self-defense. It is sometimes necessary to take a life to save the life of another. In the case of a just war, the same principle applies on a larger scale. For example, the purpose of a country's army is to keep its citizens safe, not to kill them. The same principle of life preservation applies to capital punishment. The execution of a murderer deters other would-be criminals and prevents, obviously, the one who is being executed from killing again. It's also a matter of justice that he may be executed. Now, I'm just going to say that doesn't mean you have to like capital punishment. However, capital punishment is permissible by biblical standards. What makes life so valuable is that each human being is made in the likeness of God. God has stamped his signature on each of us the same way a great artist signs his name on a work of art. Therefore, to harm a life is to deface one of God's masterpieces. Like the rest of God's law, the sixth commandment is harder to keep than it seems. Most people don't think of themselves as murderers. At least we haven't murdered anyone, we think, but Jesus said that murder begins in the heart and not just in the act of taking someone's life. The sixth commandment is words of caution for Christians living in a death-oriented culture. The evils of media violence, homicide, rape, abortion, euthanasia, assisted suicide, warfare, and terrorism are so overwhelming that it is tempting to just sit and do nothing. But we must do whatever we can. We can teach our children conflict resolution techniques that do not involve violence. We can pray for peace in the world's troubled areas. We can intercede on behalf of the unborn, the disabled, and the elderly. Through adoption and foster care, we can help save children's lives. We can care for the sick and dying. We can assist those who are oppressed. We can work together to create laws that promote justice and life. And so I hope that you realize that following the sixth commandment, it really starts in our heart, and it's just not only in our actions of taking someone's life. Please remember that theology is the study of God, and the more we understand God, the more we know about ourselves, since we were created in His image. I look forward to speaking to you in future Talking Theology segments.
We're talking theology.